Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Furbaby Summit. We are here on day 2. It is Saturday and Catterday for our Furbabies. And we are here this afternoon with Sandy Estes. And Sandy runs and is the founder of Sandy's Feral Fun. Now, Sandy's Feral Fun is up in Texas. Now, we're in Austin, and Sandy is about 3 to 4 hours north of us, as depending on how fast I can drive. But she has just an amazing she has an amazing story. She has an amazing rescue out there, and she focuses on feral cats. So Sandy is one of our other groups that falls into that bucket of rescues and sanctuaries and groups that are getting it right, because she also has learned how to really use social media. She has a really devoted, fantastic following, which is also growing. She's very personable, as you'll see. And she just does so much work with these feral cats and with helping to trap, neuter, and return, which is TNR. So her presentation is called For the Love of Tnr. So if you've ever encountered, whether it's a stray or a neighborhood cat or a colony of ferals and you didn't quite know what that was, this is your chance to tune in and listen to Sandy and learn something about it, and also learn other ways that we can help these little babies that are in community. So Sandy, thank you for being here with us, because I know you've got a ton of stuff to do in the daytime. It never stops.
It never does.
And you are actually in the cat house right now.
Yes, I'm in the cat house.
So the cat house, well, I'll let you get started. If you'll tell us about yourself, how you got started with this, and then maybe we can talk about, and I'm doing this like we're in the barn. I can talk about the barn and how that got set up. So thank you. We're so excited. I'm so excited. I love this.
Well, first off, I want to say thank you for having me on this, but I am just among some of the most amazing people. I've been listening in on several of these talks, and I need to write a book and get a PhD now. But they are just phenomenal, and I've learned quite a bit. So thank you for putting this on, and also for inviting me. And I hope that I can get the word on out there, how we can all do a little bit to help these cats. I'm kind of the low man on the totem pole here. So first off, I got started. It didn't come around the normal way. Mm-hmm. I lost my son 8 years ago. And I know there are folks out there listening that have lost a child, not a cat or a dog, but a child, although they're very close. You lose yourself. A massive part of you just dies, and you walk around like a zombie. You don't know what your days are going to bring you. You're bawling, you're crying, you're kicking the bags underneath your eyes around. You don't sleep, you don't do anything. And you really find out what you're made of when you lose a child. And I wasn't the person I thought I was, but I survived through it. But in the process of trying to heal and find myself, God said, I've got something for you to do, Sandy. And every day I would drive past this abandoned mobile home at Sears and Cedars in Whitewright, Texas. And there were all these feral cats just running back and forth, cute little ginger babies, white babies, tuxedo babies. And they kept running in front of my car every time I picked up my grandson. Mm-hmm. And God said, Sandy, I've got a job for you. And I had never trapped a thing in my life. But this voice said this is what I needed to do. And so I reached out to some folks. Had never trapped a thing in my life, not one thing. So 8 years ago, March 29th, I picked up my first trap. And well, about 6 months after that. And people started throwing traps at me. They were broken. They were falling apart. People wanted to get them out of their garages. I gave them to my husband, and he humored me. He thought this would be a passing thing. And he fixed these squeaky, broken traps, fixed the trapping apparatus, fixed the step plates, got rid of most of the rust that had accumulated on them. And I learned how to trap. You learn how to trap the skunk and release it. You learn how to trap the possum and release it, which those aren't any big deal. The raccoon is another big issue, but you learn how to do these things. But in that process of trapping, I found healing. And a year after I got this thing started in February, I realized I wasn't saving the cats, they were saving me. And that's the honest to goodness truth as to why I got into this. And now the healing is there. you never get over it. I always think about my son, but this building now stands. We started this out of a room in my house. And again, my husband was humoring me. What went from being 19 cats from February to December 1 year in TNR has now grown to well over almost 1,000 a year now. And this year, if we keep going, it's going to be 1,500 easily in TNR this year. So the barn came along because I got too big in the house, and my husband kept saying, Sandy, I want it out of the house. So I showed him what I liked, and my husband's an engineer, and he went ahead and he took what I wanted and he put it in AutoCAD, did the dimensions, sent it off to USA Barns, and this now stands. And so I have a dedicated rescue. I just became a 501c3 a year ago. And it's just growing by leaps and bounds. I mean, it's just crazy how this thing has gone, but that's why I TNR. It really saved me. So now I save the animals.
I think I am actually pulling up a picture of it. I thought I had one of those already. Pardon me. That is such a wonderful story. And I remember last year when you guys were building this thing, and I'd never seen anything like that, and the story with your son is just, it broke my heart, and everything that you've done since that is just, it's like a light. I mean, you really, really are. We love what you're doing, and to share with everybody else. So every Tuesday, you pack up all of these cats, and it can be 10 to 20 or almost 30 sometimes, right?
Yeah, well, I do. I actually pack up 3 times a week. But I use TCAP down in Allen for the ferals. I use Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays TCAP. And then every other Tuesday, I'm using Pet Vet in Denison. And then I took 31 this past Tuesday. And so this year already, we've trapped, neutered, and returned 428 cats. And I have 8 more to be delivered on tomorrow night. And so basically what happens, I don't do all the trapping any longer. Mm-hmm. It has just grown so much that I have trappers in many different communities, about 11 communities around me. Mm-hmm. And I'm very organized, very motivated, very dedicated. And together with all these volunteer trappers, we get these cats trapped. And when they don't have a cat, I hit Tom Bean or White Rider Luella around me, and I trap cats to fill the spots. So I don't ever take an empty vehicle. It is always full. And a lot of people think, well, 428 cats already this year, that's a lot of cats. And it is. And it's happy and it's kind of sad at the same time. And so I'm always begging people, if you have cats, not everything I catch is feral. Sometimes it's semi-feral. Sometimes it's socialized. Sometimes it got away from the owner. Sometimes these are just cats that people have left from their apartments or their rentals. And I ask everybody, please sterilize your animals. Please, 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 please. I'm grateful that we've had 428 sterilized so far, but there's a part of me that wishes that there were fewer, that I was catching more that were already fixed. That's not the case. But that's all right. We'll continue forward. And with that being said, everything that we do is done on donations only. Mm-hmm. It's incredible, the following. You'd mentioned my followers. I have got the most wonderful, dedicated people in the world that follow my page. And I had no earthly idea that this was ever going to happen. And so these folks, I always encourage everybody to do something. Some people donate money, some people bring food, other people bring me pine pellets from Tractor Supply, because that's what I use as litter. Mm-hmm. Some people drive for me, some people transport for me. There are folks that will take a cat down to Llano, Texas, which is coming, because Miss Scarlett is well enough now to transfer to her new home next week. She was just sterilized yesterday, so she's ready to go. But everybody can do a little something. And I always tell everybody, if we all do just a little bit, a lot gets done. And this rescue is a living proof that if we all do something, great things happen. And so I beg everybody, sterilize your cats. If you can't get it done, holler at me, let me help you get it done. We can just get this. We need to get these cats under control. And so that's why this works the way it does.
one thing that I thought was incredible was just the sheer number of how many cats that were unaltered. I mean, even in just the area that's around you. I mean, last year, guys, you were at what, nine? It was just under 1,000. It was so close.
978 is what I
Thank
had at
you.
the end of last year.
I mean, and you think about that, and it's like, that's almost 1,000
Crazy.
cats. I mean, can you imagine if you have 5 cats running around your house? You're like, well, I got a lot of litter boxes. But going through and having 1,000 cats that you've gone through the process with, and they've been trapped, they've been brought in, they go to the organization or the vet, and they get neutered or sputtered, and then they come back. I mean, I love cats, and I'm like, 1,000 cats would be utopia, but I cannot wrap my head around there's that many that
It's
are just out walking around. And now even the ones that you're doing that we've gotten so far now, just by April, we're just we haven't even hit full on kitten season yet. It's coming. But I mean,
we're in it. Yes.
It's just crazy, the amount and the number. And I mean, I think about that in our little section and how many more there are just across the US. And so that's why, like, this is such an important thing to do. I mean, and I, like I said, I told you I had that one little feral that I had brought in because of an ice storm. And I thought, well, you're definitely getting neutered, which feels like a drop in the bucket, but everybody go do something. So I've got a picture. I really want to share this if I can. It's a picture of the barn, and I wanted to talk about how that went up real fast. So this is just on Facebook. This is under Sandy's page, Sandy's Feral Fun. But this is the barn, the cat house. So can everybody see that? Can we see that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I can see it.
Okay, thank you. I was my chief button pusher in my tech. He's down there. I'm like, can you see that? Am I doing this right? Okay,
I can
great.
see it. It's there.
So, but this is just, it was awesome, and it was really cool to see how it was put together and built. I mean, these trucks would come in and drop off. It was almost like it was all of it, and then it went up. And it. Can you tell us about that? Because that was such a fun thing, and how you planned it, like how you guys set it up for what you wanted to accomplish in the barn and the areas that you have set up. Because I know you got some additional the big enclosures, right?
Mm-hmm. I do. Well, this all began, like I said, with my son. We had to get it out of the house. It was taking over. Mm-hmm. And so again, I gave my husband what I liked, the design I liked, and he just ran with it. And he put it all into AutoCAD, got all the dimensions where it needed to be, and sent it off to USA Barns. They were out here. These gentlemen built this in February. It was 19 degrees outside, but they got it up in 6 days. It was amazing. They put it up quickly. I highly recommend these folks, by the way. But anyhow, in the barn itself, we decided that there were 3 things I do all the time. Mm-hmm. Number 1 is TNR. That's my love. I have the only freestanding cat house in the area, from what I understand. And out of this barn, my main love is TNR. So I do a lot of trap, neuter, return. I wanted to bring up a point. We were talking about the number and how big it was, yes. But even more phenomenal to me is the number of lives that have been prevented that yes. No one wants. And so if you figure, and I love this statistic, if one feral female in a 5-year reproductive cycle can be responsible for almost 11,000 cats, with her babies having babies, having babies, having babies. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. Somebody did the math one time several years ago, and I don't know what the math is now, but it was over 1 billion cats have been prevented from this barn. So that's even more remarkable to me. So when we stop these mamas from having litter after litter after litter, we prevent all these other babies from living on the streets, the disease, the fighting, the weather, humans. Mm-hmm. We prevent a lot of that. So that's a bigger number to even be more enamored with. Mm-hmm. But back to the barn. We do the TNR, and then not everything that I catch is feral, like I said earlier. So sometimes I'll run across, like these guys behind me playing. They were trapped, and they are as cute as a button, but obviously they were able to be socialized. So I also do adoptions out of my barn. I get everybody fully vetted. They all get tested for AIDS and leukemia, get their leukemia shots, all their shots. They're wormed, their rabies, everything is done. And then they get adopted. So that's the second thing I do. And then the third thing that I do is, and I don't do a lot of it yet because I don't have my quarantine room up, but like a cat like Scarlet, someone that's injured, and she's back here. I don't know if you can see her, but she's right there. You know, I like to help the injured cat, but I can't do anything beyond injury because, again, the quarantine room isn't up. But in that room, this teal kennel right behind me will be in there, and I can take care of the upper respiratories, the feline herpes, those types of animals after that. Also in that room, I would like to have a veterinarian come out and do my spays and neuters out of the barn. So I'm working on that with the veterinarian as well. The other thing, you were talking about the condos. The condos will replace these that I have behind me, and I have 6 custom condos sitting outside on the ground, waiting to go up once we get the insulation and the wallboard in. So this is still a work in progress, but I will also have a room for boarding. So that'll be a 4th component, and then possibly a 5th with a groomer coming out. So we're really trying to make this a place where people can come and visit, bring their cats to get sterilized, adopt a cat, leave their cat with somebody they can trust to take care of them, help a cat get well, all these things. I really want this to be a very well-rounded cat house. That's basically everything that we do in here. So it's just growing. It's crazy.
I think the additions and the dream for that is even so much bigger than I thought it was. Because I mean, when you get all that up and running, it's going to be a full service, just everything. Like that makes my heart happy. We should move up to Tom Bean.
Come on.
Forget Austin.
Come on up.
If we could do something like that down here, oh, that would just be beautiful.
You can. If I can do it in little podunk Tom Bean with a population of 1,100 people, you can do it in big Austin. You have so many more resources than I do. So everybody can jump on board. My background, I was a sonographer for 40 years. I had no idea how to work with animals. If I can do this, you can do it. But we all have to do something. This is what I do.
Had you had cats before you started doing this, or?
We had 2 cats of our own, but it was nothing like this. You're going to laugh when I tell you this, but I'm a dog person. We have 3 dogs that we love and adore, although we do have 12 cats in our house now, the ones that no one wanted. You know, I have Lucy. I sent pictures to Steve. I have Lucy and Silver. I have all these cats that no one else wanted. And so we have a house full of cats, but we really are dog people. But I love helping the cats because, again, they saved me. They really did save me. So it is my job. God said you will save the animals, and I do. Until he says no more, I will continue forward.
You certainly are. Can you share with us? I kind of geek out about it. I really do. It's just, I love when I say like, I wish we could do something like that down here. You have the land up there. Down here, it's a little more compact, but that's just Austin. But it's such a wonderful thing. And of all the people that I talk to, and I know a lot of different rescue groups and stuff, having what you've been able to build it's really like a dream come true. It's just such a wonderful, wonderful thing. And it's really cute too. So you also, some of the babies that you help, like Scarlet is an inspiration story. Scarlet's a different story too, because there's things that's happened with Scarlet that I didn't even know could happen. So
I know.
Could you share with us about Scarlet?
Yes, I can. Do you have her pictures?
I do.
Well, Scarlet came to me about a week and a half ago. She was about 3 miles north of me here in Tom Bean. She showed up on someone's porch. I bet I was tagged 15 times for this cat, and I finally saw it. And the owner brought her, or not the owner, the person that she stumbled upon brought her. This cat couldn't move her jaw, could not eat. We didn't even think she had a left eye. just terrible shape. She has had a big gash out of her forehead. We found more gashes under her left arm. She was weak and thin, emaciated. Again, her jaw was broken. She was in sad shape. And so we, that sweetheart,
That's
she was
Miss
in
Charlotte.
bad shape, really bad shape. I took her to Dr. Riddle's and Lang's office immediately. And we sat for an hour in the waiting area, and her heart rate started to tank. And so they got her back right away. Dr. Lang was very honest with me. He said, I'm not sure if she's going to make it, but I'd like to keep her overnight. So it turned into a second overnight, and she still couldn't eat. So they were syringe feeding her. So I brought her home after the second day. She was a bit more stable. Sub-Q fluids I did for her. Every 3 hours, I was out here syringe feeding her. Dr. Lang gave her quite a few antibiotics to try and clear the respiratory issues she had going on. And in the process of all of that, her swelling began to go down. We found that she could eat on her own on the fourth day. And I started limiting the syringe feedings I did to her. But she was the best patient ever. She just, whatever you need to do, Mama, you just do. I'm willing. I just want you to help me. And skinny as could be. On the 5th morning, I came out and I discovered that she had given birth to 7 stillborn 4-week-old kittens. Broke my heart, but again, her body was so emaciated, there was no way she could sustain a pregnancy. We estimated her to be approximately 6 months old by her teeth. So there was a grace from God that these babies did not make it, because this girl could not be a mama. There just was no possibility to it. The next morning I came out to feed her again, and there was an 8th one that she had delivered. She absolutely floored us all. She weighed less than 4 pounds and was pregnant with 8 cats. I'm so grateful that she went up to the lady that was my neighbor 3 miles north of me, and that I got her, and that Dr. Lang was able to help her, and that I had the foresight and the ability to syringe feed her and get her strength up. She's been going back for her follow-ups, and now you can see her new picture. I think it's pretty recent in there. You'll see it. She looks like a totally different cat. She has 2 eyes that are both viable. She is moving her jaw now. She is able to eat completely on her own, and to include hard food. Dr. Lang says she is one of the most resilient cats he's ever met. He cannot believe that she survived this. And it looks like she was in the engine of a car. So that's what her injuries look like they were from. So many people donated. They called into Dr. Lang and they donated money, put it on my account. My followers, again, they're amazing. And Miss Scarlett, her $700 bill was taken care of by the love of so many people that followed Scarlett. Yep, that's her. And she's just absolutely a love bug. She's sweet. And she has a home in Llano, Texas. So she's going to be on her way south of Houston, to her home with Susan Carter. And I'm just very excited for her. So that's one of the things I love to do is help these cats that I can. It's not always a success, but they are worth every attempt that we give them.
And she's one of those cases that, I mean, I see a lot of babies who have a hard time, but just literally, like, the change in her from when you got her and everything that she's been through to that picture right there. I mean, it's just like she's been reborn. So yeah. This is, we're honored and lucky to be able to help. And that's why it just is, it's such a wonderful thing that you do up there. So we talked about your network. And so for everybody listening, like, Sandy even has fans in Australia. So it's, I mean, she's international at this point.
Hi, Colin.
I know. I wasn't going to say it, but hi, Colin. And he's amazing. He's such a sweetheart. but yeah, and you've been able to go through, and I meet a lot of people that are a little recalcitrant or hesitant to get on, video or get on social media, and I was one of them. I mean, you would not catch me on a video until really about maybe 6 months ago, and definitely a few months ago. But it was a little something similar. It's like, well, I have to do this, and it's almost like you have to do it, you want to do it,
You have
so
to reach out.
yes, and you overcame that, and so many people don't, but you've gone through and you've gotten on Facebook. Do you have an Instagram account?
No, I do not. I just
Okay.
exclusively use Facebook. I'm just too busy to do too many formats. Facebook is the easiest thing for me. So, and it's a godsend. It is a godsend. Facebook is a lot of things, but for this mission, it has been a godsend. I've never been censored for helping animals, and it's just a wonderful format. So many people have Facebook, and they're so willing to help once they realize that you're real and you're not scamming someone. Facebook has a reputation for a lot of scammers to be on there. In fact, I get 2 or 3 of those every day on Messenger. Hey, how you doing? Did you get your publisher's house clearinghouse grant? No, but you did. So why don't you donate 10,000? And then I never hear from them again. But Facebook gets a lot of things, but people are amazing. And now that they realize that I'm real, and people come out here to visit me, and they visit the cats, and they see Scarlet, and they meet Lucy, and they meet Silver, they're like, wow, we really want to help. So people come out here all the time. I had a lady this morning, the toy that you hear behind me, the little buzzing.
Okay.
You hear that? She brought a little butterfly toy out for the kittens.
Oh.
And she brought a box of kitten food, and she brought a watering fountain. So people are just absolutely wonderful, and they've met me through Facebook. And when they realize they live within a 45, 50-minute radius of me, they want to come out and visit. And so the more that people realize it's real, it's not a scam, it's truly all for the animals, the bigger this has gotten. And so God has been really great to this mission. He has been incredible. And I'm floored. I never, ever would have thought when my son died that I would be doing this 8 years later in his honor. So Matthew, I hope you're proud. I mean, I can't believe I'm sitting here in a cat house. In a cat house, there goes the neighborhood.
Show us your logo too. You have the cutest logo.
It's my ear tip. He's on there somewhere, but it has a little mouse on the bottom. He has a piece of luggage in his hands that says, "There goes the neighborhood," with the cat house. And on the back, it says, "The 4-legged type." I don't know if you can read that, but
I did. It worked.
But this place is phenomenal, and it's still going forward. I don't know where it's going to end. I don't know where we're winging it. Every day is a new adventure, and I invite everyone to help. If it's not helping me, help your local rescues. The little people like myself, we cannot survive without help. And I was listening to another lady talk earlier yesterday, and she had made the same point that I would make. The dollar donation, the time. I've had people come out, "Can I help scoop poop with you?" Absolutely. I'll put your name on a pooper scooper. We'll just have a good time. I have like 30 litter boxes in here to change consistently twice a day. There's linens to change. There's kittens to socialize. Yes, there are pine pellets to be bought. And somebody asked me, "What can I do to help you?" I can't give you money because I don't have a lot, but what can I do for you? As she came 45 minutes to come and visit me, I said, "Well, if you're ever at Tractor Supply and pine pellets are on sale for $5, grab me a couple bags and I'll pay you for them." Well, you know what she did? She brought pine pellets. And so, I mean, it's these little tiny things that keep this place going. I don't need anything fancy. I just need people to help. That's all. So if it's not me, help that local rescue, because that local rescue really does need your help. I don't know how to write a grant yet. I'm trying to figure out how to do it, but I don't know how to do that yet. If there's anybody out there that does and wants to do it for me, you let me know.
Duly noted. Okay.
I don't know how to do that. So I am completely doing this every day, winging a prayer, and when donations come in. Just help. I'm asking everybody, just help someone. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be you, but help someone. Help a cat. Help get it sterilized. Sponsor a cat from somewhere. Go to the rescue. Bring them some food. Go to a shelter. Help them with anything. We all need this help. And we're talking within a group of people that already help a lot of animals. So we have to go beyond our comfort zone. And that means in the store, talk to someone that, you know, has on an animal shirt. It's like, oh, hey, let's strike up a conversation. Did you know that such and such has a rescue? What can we do to help? Go beyond your comfort zone. And that's what I had to do with Facebook, with building this. I wasn't very comfortable talking to a lot of people, but I'm doing it now. And it's not about me. You may catch me with my hair up. You may catch me with my hair down and messy and no makeup on, but it's not about me. It's about these animals. So we all need to do more. Just do a little bit more. Go beyond the comfort zone. People are always donating items that I can auction off. Auction items are great. I had a lady donate solid gold jewelry to me so that I could turn it in and get the money for the sake of the rescue. She said, I don't wear it. It's yours. And I went and I took it to a jewelry store and I told them what it was for. They gave me top dollar on the buyback. And that was almost $800 that went back into the cat fund. So it's incredible. It's all these little things. But if you don't help me, help someone. Everyone needs the help. We all have animals to take care of, and we cannot do it without you. We just can't. So that's what I would say.
We have a comment. I love this. We have a comment in our chat box from Deborah Arndell. Deborah says, I'll do the grant writing for you.
Hey, thank you, sister. That's my sister.
Hey, thank you. I didn't know that was your sister. Thank you. Thank you.
My
Thank
sister,
you,
yes.
Aww.
She's one of my greatest fans. I love that woman to death. I love her. She and her wife, both Sandy. Oh my gosh, I have got the best sisters in the world. And so they are, yeah, big cat people, big animal people. They're amazing too. So thank you, Debbie. I love you.
So there is so much going on. And we've got your goals down. You've got some really big goals, which is also just, I know we're going to get there. You're going to get there. When you're talking about everybody stepping up and doing something. So, and I've asked this to my other gals too. I know a lot of people that want to get more involved. And then I also know some people that want to actually start a rescue of their own or something small. And I've said before, like you could start with 5, you could start with 10, you could start with planning for 100. What would your advice be to someone who's thinking, gosh, I'm really inspired by this and I really want to try to start something like what you're doing? What would your advice to them be just starting? Because you've learned so much.
I have fallen on my face. It's been a process of picking myself up and dusting off and going forward. But if you've got the love for the animals and you've got some space, it doesn't matter if you're helping one animal or if you're helping 50 like I am. One animal, you save the life of that one animal. You make the difference to that one animal. We can never save them all. We just cannot. But the ones that you do help, you change their life forever. So I started out with just a couple in my back room, in a side room. Little crates, people gave me crates. I got out on Facebook. I asked for help. I didn't always get it because, again, nobody knew me. Who is this woman asking for money? Who is this woman that's asking me to buy a t-shirt so she can support her cats? Yeah, right. She's booking the cruise somewhere. And it just takes time, but you have to persevere and never give up, because it took me a good 1.5 to 2 years before people really started finding faith in me. And that took people coming out to my home. This was in my home at first. I've only been in this building just a little over a year, 14 months. And so it took a lot of faith, a lot of time for people to begin bringing things to me. And then the next thing you know, you start networking and you'll run into someone who has a business. And, we have some cat food that's expired. Would you like it? And this was Kroger. Kroger was wonderful. The lady that did ClickList, she's, Sandy, I love cats. And whenever we get a bag of broken cat food, you want me to save it for you? Yes, absolutely. And it may not have been necessarily what I fed, but there's always a feral colony that can use that food. So you never say no at that point. And so it's just a matter of reaching out and talking to people. I had my t-shirts made. I wore it proudly wherever I went to strike up a conversation. Oh, you're Sandy. I am. And you just have to talk. And so then next thing you know, it's growing and you have 50 followers. And, 2 years from now, you have 500 followers. And, 2 years after that, you've got 5,000 followers. And it just takes a lot of work, and it does not happen overnight, but never lose sight of what you got in it for, which is to help those animals. And that is what I do. It doesn't matter if I get a donation or not. I'm still helping the animal. I may not be able to help as many because I don't have the money, but I'm still going to help animals. Until I'm told not to do this any longer, I will go forward. Whether the money's there or not, I will keep going. So don't give up. Just don't give up. If you really want to help them, help them.
Do you have a wish list that's put together for
a wish list?
Or like a needs list? I know some people call them a wish list, but like a needs list or whatnot?
The things I always need are food. I always need Authority kitten food. I always need Purina 1 kitten food, dry and moist. Pretty much pine pellets. I don't need any blankets. I don't need any cages. I don't need any traps. And the number one is always money for the vet bills. That sick cat always comes along, and when a cat that you think will only cost you $100 turns into $1,800, you want the money to be there. It does. And then when you turn around and adopt them out, guess what? You're still only adopting that animal out for your adoption fee of $75, because nobody's going to pay $1,800 for a cat. So you're never right side up. You're always upside down. I'm consistently sitting about $200 above the line, and you pray that nothing critical happens. So again, money is always important. And I always tell people, you don't have to give it directly to me. You can call my vet's office and you can leave it on an account. And I can walk in with the sick animal and have the thing paid for. For those that know me or just feel like they can trust me, I have PayPal, I have Venmo, I have Cash App, I have all those things for the sake of the animals. That's the number one is money. Number two is food, and number three is litter or pine pellets in my case. Past all of that, I'm pretty much self-sufficient. I don't require a lot. Time, if somebody wants to drive for me from Tom Bean to Allen on any morning, you have to be here at 4:00 in the morning, 4:15, so we can pull out and be the first ones at TCAP. Past all of that, I don't need toys. I don't need blankets. I don't need anything like that. I just need the basic stuff now.
You've got the heavy hitters in there. Yeah. So can you give us an idea with as many of the little ferals that you bring in, what's the average cost for them to get their spay and neuter done? So people have kind of an idea.
If I'm just doing a feral cat and I'm doing it out of a colony, I do random testing out of the colony. I don't have the money to test every single animal that comes in. So the average cost for me to get a feral randomly tested, a rabies vaccine, and a sterilization usually runs me about $30 to $35. The females I give a pain shot to because, my goodness, I wouldn't want my uterus ripped out without some pain medication. So usually about $35 for a female. As far as a fully vetted animal, it runs me $75 to $80, which is my adoption fee. The only thing I ask people to do when they adopt is just put back into it what I put out for the sake of the next animal to come in and get it done. So about $35 to $80 is what it costs. So if people want to sponsor an animal, you're welcome to. That's a great thing to do as well.
I was going to ask if you had a sponsor program set up yet, or if you were thinking about doing it. For those that you adopt out, do you have any of them? Do you list them online yet, or is it more like a meet and greet when people come out to the barn to check them out?
Well, I always like to vet people. So usually people will get with me online and say, hey, I really like those black kittens that you have. And then I start doing some investigatory work on that person, checking out the Facebook, checking out the Instagram, checking out those things and see where we are. Then I invite them out to meet the animals. The animals tell you a lot about the people. And so if the animal is fearful of the person, I don't adopt out to them. And I've had to say no to several adoptions because they don't seem to fit. Past that, it's fairly simple. Most of the people that are willing to drive out here really, truly do want an animal, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to make that adoption happen. If everything is clear in their background, we sign the paperwork and they can go on about their way. My animals are listed on Facebook. It's probably like the very first thing on my page. I usually pin it so that it's at the top of the page. I have several people come out multiple times just to come and sit with the animals and check out personalities. I try to match personalities to what they're looking for. I usually get the, oh my gosh, I want the Siamese that's going to sit on my lap and love me, love me, love me. And it's like, okay, Siamese and love me, love me, love me doesn't necessarily go together, but let's see what we can do. But I have this beautiful gray tabby, like the other 12 gray tabbies I have, that will sit on your lap and love you, love you, love you, if you just will look at the personality of the animal as opposed to the looks. So I spend a lot of time with people just sitting on the floor, playing with the babies and figuring out what the personality is that they would really like. I just purchased, well, I haven't got it yet, but I've got a meet and greet condo that people can go in and sit and I can put their animals into. Brenda Jackson has it down in Garland and I just have to get down and pay for it and get it. But we just haven't had an opportunity to drive down there and take the trailer and get it. My husband's too busy. But when I get that, I can set that up and people can choose the animal they really want to spend time with and just isolate themselves off in this little room and play with the cats. It's just a really fun thing to watch people come out and sit and entertain themselves and interact with my animals. And they're usually here for an hour, hour and a half, just playing. It's wonderful. It's just a really positive experience. And to the point that I've actually had some people say, you need to do some animal therapy out here. Just, can we pay you $200 an hour to sit on the floor and play? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. That's a great idea.
Well, I'm putting in a lean-to back behind me. There's a lean-to, a 3-sided lean-to, and we're putting in a metal enclosure that's all cat friendly. So each of the condos will have access, a cat door to go to the outside play area. And that will be the therapy session, the therapy room. So it's really just a pleasant thing to do. It's wonderful to come out here and sit with the animals.
Well, I cannot wait for the day I can drive up there. I mean, I'm looking in the direction of 35 that way.
Well,
so you're not
35 to 75.
Yeah, you're not really that. I mean, you're not that far. I've driven up to Tyler. I've driven, up well past Dallas and everything. So it's not that far at all. So one weekend that I get where we're not running a mile a minute, then I'm going to come sit on your floor and play with the babies.
Please do. My son, I've been down to Austin many times because Matthew, my son that passed away, he's a graduate of UT Austin. Mm-hmm. So I've been down to Austin many times, down on 6th Street, all that kind of stuff. So it's really not that far. It's really, truly worth the drive. You're welcome to come up and spend a couple of hours and I'll show you where the scoopers are and where the litter is. And you can play with kitties all you want.
And bring some litter. Some food. There you go. For our listeners, before we wrap up, because this has been the fastest 45 minutes, and I could just talk to you for, we're at time, so I've got to wrap up. I wish I didn't. The authority is out of PetSmart. They do an auto ship, and so does Chewy. So just a little tidbit.
Chewy
for
doesn't
everybody
ship
listening.
Authority any longer. Chewy does not ship authority. No, they stopped about 6 months ago.
Oh, crikey.
So you can only get it through
still does.
PetSmart. So you have to ship through PetSmart.
That explains that, because I used to have auto ship set up with them, and now I have auto ship set up with PetSmart, and it didn't click because I go and it's like everybody. We're in the middle of a food shortage, so we go get what we need when we can find it. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. Mm-hmm. I'm praying we get out of that pretty soon. I hope so. But well, I thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us. And I'm so excited people are getting to see everything that you're doing and the stuff that's coming down the pipeline and different ways to help. And it warms my heart. And so yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Like I said, I need to write a book or something now.
You
to
do.
up my game with all these books that you've brought in, and then you brought little me in here. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Sandy.
You guys
have a great weekend, and holler at me on my page.
We will. And actually, we need to go in and put the spots where people can log in or people can jump on to donate or whatnot and follow you too. So if you can send me that, we'll get that put in the chat roll.
It's right on my opening
on your page.
On my page, it says you can donate, and it has my PayPal right there underneath it.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Kiss the babies for me.